There's a lot of topics that I like to talk about, and this conversation that we're going to have is probably one of my favorite topics because it's one of those things that's like so right in front of your face that a lot of us kind of just jump right over it. Like when something's so obvious, sometimes you just ignore it. We're not going to do that today, and we're going to confront all of those thoughts and have this conversation together. I know the lighting sucks. I'm aware. I missed my chance to film this with the natural lighting because I was getting a foot massage. I will stand by this. If you have the means to invest in any type of self-care, let it be body work. Let it be a massage because it's just that good. It's just that good. I don't say that because I can afford to do it. My mom, and I'm so grateful for her. I love you, Mom. My mom offers to pay for my massages. Sometimes she'll just hit me up and be like, foot massage ? And I'm already in my car. Like I'm already down the street. But anyways, that's why the lighting sucks. Okay. Today I wanted to have this conversation with you guys because I feel like this channel, we talk about a lot of cutesy things, what's in my bag, what are my favorites right now. But these kind of conversations are the ones that I end up talking about with my good friends all the time. Like we end up having these like little Socratic seminar meetings almost in our cars. You guys are my friends too. So like we're just going to extend the invite out and talk about this together. The entire umbrella, or I guess the theme that we're going to be circulating is, it's kind of like a pivot in perspective when it comes to lagging on yourself and standing yourself up and just not really being there for you and realizing that you need to step up. You need to step up. And all of this is going to come from a place of love. It's going to come from a place of encouragement. And I really want that to be remembered through the entire conversation. But it's going to also come from that tough love. I respond the best to tough love, especially when it comes to anything motivational or anything that's like, you need to grab life and you need to change your life. You need to, you know what I mean? I used to hate those motivational videos because I felt like you're screaming at me. Like you're screaming at me. But there is a sense of urgency because I think that we all believe that we have all the time in the world to make a difference in our own lives and in the lives of other people. That life just passes you by. You spend all this time planning for it and it's over. So we have to have this conversation. We need to talk about this, and we're going to kind of do a step-by-step, almost like a plan of action to make it a little bit easier. But the question that we're going to kind of chew on as this conversation ensues is, why do you stand yourself up? Why do you stand yourself up? And I'm thinking of standing, like when somebody stands you up on a date. There's going to be moments when we have this conversation. I want you to truly envision it. Like close your eyes and envision it. Envision yourself at a restaurant. And yes, I did take notes because I don't want to forget. Envision yourself at a restaurant waiting for your date. And they said they'd meet you at 6 p.m. And they never show up. That is what you do. Every single time you say, I'm going to go to the gym in the morning. I'm going to go to the gym in the morning. And then what? 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, it rolls around and you're like, I don't feel like it. Okay. Well, guess what? Guess what you just did? You told yourself, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. We'll get there together. And then you wake up and you're like, nah, I don't really want to anymore. And that is not good. And I hate to say it, but that's not good. How many times? Think about the empty promises that you've made to yourself. I think this is kind of good. It seems a little discouraging at first, but to kind of get into the groove and to think about it, we have to think about where we've let ourselves down so that we can look back and be like, okay, that wasn't really cool. Like maybe I do need to stop. I know for myself, I'll just speak on personal experience, being frugal with money, having any sort of self-control. Like my self-control is so bad that my mom gave me kind of like a sheet of those Ferrero Rocher, like chocolate wafer things. And I had to recruit my husband to hide them from me because I couldn't just stop. Like I couldn't just stop like a normal person. I had to ask him to take them away and hide them. I still don't know where they are. They're somewhere in this house and I don't know where they are. So I've told myself, okay, you're gonna have self-control. here I am eating all this candy. Maybe for you, it might be the gym. Maybe it might be contributing to any sort of creative ideas that you have, bringing those creative ideas from that imaginative realm into the physical realm, into something tangible. Maybe it's an art piece that you've been kind of thinking about, or something that you've been wanting to write and you just haven't because you continuously put it off. And you tell yourself, I'm going to write it. And then the next day comes and you're like, I'd rather watch YouTube. Now, you may be thinking, why does it matter if I don't show up? Why does it matter if I don't do what I said I was going to do initially? I changed my mind. I didn't want to. First, we need to evaluate why you changed your mind. If you say you're going to do something and then you change your mind just because you don't feel like it, that is called an excuse, and that is not valid. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not. If you said you were going to go to the gym and then you wake up the next morning and you are hunched over with menstrual cramps, like, okay, we know that you can't get there, but to say I don't feel like it anymore, I just don't want to, something came up, you know the bullshit, and it's called an excuse, and we're gonna have to be held accountable for that. Why does it matter that we're making excuses? Why does it matter that we're not following through with our plans? Aside from the fact that none of your goals are being met, you have slowly lost trust in yourself. And I know you're probably thinking, what do you mean? It's kind of like, the way that I see it is, in life, naturally, everyone's going to disappoint you in one way or another. Like, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to disappoint other people. But you can't really afford to continuously disappoint yourself. Aside from everything else that's going to disappoint you in life, and people that are just not going to meet your expectations, you're just going to feel let down by others around you. You can't afford to be one of those people that does that to you. You just can't. You can't, and you shouldn't. You already have so many ops. Whether you know or not, you have ops. And don't be your own op. Like, don't be your op. You need to be on the same team with yourself, because shit's got to get done. There's also a level of trust that you lose when you continuously say you're going to do something and then you don't do it. Think of when friends say that they're down for plans, but you know that they always flake. Like, you kind of lose it. Now, you might not drop that friend. That's totally fine. You might not drop that friend. And you can't drop yourself. But it's almost like when you start to say, I'm going to go to the gym in the morning, you kind of just know in your head, yeah, I might not. I say that I will, but I might not. And you don't want to get in the habit of doing that, because then nothing you say holds weight at all to yourself, which sucks. Like, no. Think about this. Being tardy for yourself, postponing your goals, standing yourself up. These are all forms of not loving yourself, and it's just not going to work out in the long run. So we need to have a pivot in perspective. And this is where that entire bulletproof mind comes in. We're working to having a bulletproof mind where, like, nothing really can get in there, because we've worked up such a strong foundation and such a strong willpower, committed relationship with ourselves, that we don't let ourselves down. We don't. We show up for ourselves and we get shit done. There's good news. You can do hard things. You can do hard things. And here's how we're going to get there. 1, I want you to grab a piece of paper or a diary and a pen. I saw a video on this a long time ago. I think it was on TikTok. You're going to write out your dream self. This person that you're going to picture looks just like you. It has to look just like you, maybe 2.0, maybe like, bigger booty, tinier waist, like whatever your goals are. Banging body, bulletproof mind, envision the you blank, whatever your name is, 2.0. It has to look like you though. Like when you close your eyes, it has to be you. It can't be like a celebrity. You're going to envision their day from start to finish. How do they start their day? What do they eat? What are their hobbies? What do they do for their job? How is their heart posture? How do they interact with strangers? What's their work-life balance looking like? What do they do for work? What do they do for pleasure? How do they treat their partner? How do they treat their friends? What kind of relationships do they cultivate? What's important to them? What's not important to them? What have they let go of that's not serving them? What do they cling to that's like something that motivates them? What are their disciplines looking like? Create this person, envision them, and write down as much detail as you can. The more detail, the better. Just like you're writing an entire book on this person. Once you finish writing everything out, become them. Become that person. And that's why it has to be something that is tangible. It can't be like, for me, I can't be like, this girl has triple D's. Like, You know, it has to be realistic. Make it realistic, but also make it, reach for the stars. Don't make it something that's like impossible to achieve. Write down your dream job as what their job is. This is almost like the blueprint. Plan of action would be the steps that you're going to take to get there, which would be the becoming them part. Second is creating that plan of action. Be specific on how you will reach that goal. I did write my person in here. I also wrote it in third person, and I called her Kirsten because that's my name. However you want to do it is fine. I don't want to read mine to you because I also feel like it's kind of giving vision board. Like sometimes you kind of keep that stuff on the low because it's personal. And I heard somewhere that like when you tell people all of your goals or like what you're planning on doing, you get that satisfaction of almost like as if you did it already, but you didn't. And that can like stop you and kind of make you hit a plateau when it comes to actually achieving those goals. So like if you say like, oh yeah, I'm not drinking till the end of the year. In your brain, you release those hormones that are like happy, like I did it, I achieved the goal, but you never actually achieved the goal. So then you're more likely to fail. Fact check me though, because I heard that recently and I was like, sounds like it makes sense because every single time I've said, oh, I plan on doing this, I fail. And like some of the goals that I've kept like moving quietly, they've been the ones that have been working. So just food for thought. And the third thing, this all works when you pivot your perspective. So like we've got down the self-awareness part where we're like, okay, maybe I need to stop being tardy for everything, all the goals that I want to achieve. Or you've acknowledged that like you have said that you're going to do things and then you have not pulled through. You've been negligent for your own betterment of self. But the other side of being self-aware is also noticing what your strengths are. Don't ever forget that part. So like really lean into your gifts, lean into your God-given talents, and let that be something that helps propel you forward. Don't just like look at all the negatives and be like, well, great, I'm a loser. Like we have to be positive, guys. We have to be positive. The whole thing that you're doing while you're creating this version of yourself, like their attributes, what characteristics they have. Like you've created this person and they sound amazing, but moving forward, there's going to have to be boundaries when it comes to creating that person and breathing them to life. And there's going to be freedom in this discipline. A lot of people like to have a goal, but they don't want to do the hard part. And I get it because the hard part is the hard part for a reason. It sucks. It's hard. Setting boundaries for yourself. Really, really evaluate your life right now and think about the stuff that's just like not serving you. For me, and it used to irk me when people would talk about this because I wasn't doing it at the time. And I was like, well, you know, okay. For me personally, the alcohol was doing it. Maybe you have a chill relationship with alcohol. I actually had a pretty chill relationship with alcohol, but for some odd reason, like I kind of have been seeing it as like a frenemy, more leaning enemy than friend. It's just kind of become something that I have not really been into. I've had to look at my life and be like, okay, I had these goals for myself and then these goals were not met. What was that part in between? What was that part that I was missing? Okay, I was tired because I was hungover. Oh, I was violently hungover. Oh, so it was the alcohol. You need to evaluate. You had these plans. You didn't follow through with the plans. What was that in between? And something needs to change. It kind of sucks to do it and it stings a little bit, but you gotta pick your battles. Changing your life around is a continual renewal. The work is you gotta keep doing it every single day, trying to be 1% better every single day. And it's hard, but it's totally worth it. I say that not because I know, because I've achieved so much, but because having the mindset first, it gives you such like this hunger to keep doing it. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Nowhere, not even close. But the process and the progress that you see along the way, that is going to be your bestie. It's going to be the gas that keeps everything running. You are the key component in changing your life. Is that good news or bad news? If it's bad news, you need to make it good news. And the way that you could think about it is you're the one person that can make you have a banging body besides a bunch of money and a plastic surgeon. But when it comes to like achieving, and these are like my personal goals, so that's why I keep talking about a banging body because like obviously that's a goal of mine. You're the only one that's going to get you there. Somebody can't do the work for you. You have to do all the work yourself. Is that good news or bad news? If you're lazy and you like taking the easy way out and you like giving up on yourself, then that's bad news. But we're not going to make it bad news. We're going to make it good news. Knowing that you are strong, you can do hard things, you're determined, you're committed, you have discipline to wake up and get it done, that's good news. It's good news that you're in this position because you can do it. Number 4, what you may notice. There's going to be a lot of resistance. We are at the beginning of the journey, which is arguably the hardest part. There's no momentum yet. We haven't really started. Once you kind of get the hang of it and you start pushing every single day, you start to see the progress, like I was saying, then the gas is going, you're ready, you're driving. But before that, you're kind of just pushing a car on neutral. Like you gotta do the hard part. We have to build the momentum up. There's no fruit to be harvested yet. We've just started planting the seeds, okay? We're just starting to water the plants. We're just starting to see a little bit of growth. There's nothing to pull yet. So don't expect this crazy outcome and you just started. Like take baby steps and you've got this. And then number 5, for any of this to work, please remember that there has to be a pivot in perspective. I've kept mentioning this before because I want it to resonate and I want it to be something that we chew on. There is the biggest factor of all of this when it comes to taking back your life and wanting to jump into anything that you've been putting off. And that is having a pivot in perspective. Have an openness to change. This is going to be a continual renewal. Like I said, not a one and done. It's going to be continual. So with that being said, we're just going to run through the topics really quickly to summarize what we just went over. We're trying to have a bulletproof mind, okay? Ask yourself in the beginning, why do you stand yourself up? We're going to have to confront the issue here. Then we're going to envision, grab a piece of paper, write out that ideal, most elevated version of yourself. Create that plan of action. What needs to change in your life? What do you need to let go of? Emphasis on the letting go of part, okay? Write it out. It's just going to help you in the long run to write it down. Also, writing it down is a good thing to look back on. Like you're going to want to look back on this paper and it's going to be really freaking awesome when you've become this person to look back at it, date the paper too. 3, there's freedom and discipline. And that's kind of like the mantra of 2025 that I kind of want to cultivate, having that freedom and discipline. A lot of people think, okay, I'm having to take away all the fun things. Life sucks now. No. This is where it gets fun. And this is where life becomes a playground because you're learning to tell yourself no, to have self-control. And there's so much freedom in having those boundaries for yourself. And it's an act of love to do that for yourself, okay? 4, notice the resistance, but do not let that hold you back. Be aware the fact that there's no momentum building yet. We've just started this race. But again, it's not going to be a one and done. It's a continual renewal. And then 5, we have to have our pivot in perspective as we're going through these. These life-changing alterations that we're making, it's not like, oh, I'm changing my entire career. Or maybe it is changing your entire career, but I'm talking about knocking off the tiny things that you have been doing that you don't need to do anymore. The tiny ways that you've been lagging on yourself, the tiny ways you've been putting off your own happiness. That's what we're changing. All those tiny little switches that are being flipped are going to contribute to something so much bigger, which is your life. Getting in the habit of creating these disciplines can help you with other aspects of your life. So you can do it. It's a new year. I like that spring is coming up because spring is always the time where it's like newness, renewal, but we're not going to wait to spring. We're going to start now. And by summer, we'll see a lot of the fruits that we can harvest because we started in the winter time. So that's something exciting to look forward to. But with that being said, that is today's video. I'm going to be making a video probably next week on how journaling is life-changing, and there's already so many videos on YouTube about this. It's just one of those things where it is freaking life-changing, and I like watching videos of how people structure their journals and the different types of journals they have and what they use them for. So I definitely want to make a video like that. But for today, that's our video. I believe in you. We've got this. Tough love, but you've got this. And stop lagging on yourself. Stop being a flake in your own life. We don't have time for it. And I love you guys. Have a beautiful day.